Uh, Thank you very much, Professor Banerjee, for this wonderful opportunity. I'm going to weave this theme through my personal journey as a student and an academic, and I'll try to do that in the next 5 minutes. Uh, I'm speaking to you from Thailand, where I'm working at the Asian Institute of Technology. I hold a fractional appointment as a professor at Shiv Nadar University, and that explains why I'm here representing Shiv Nadar. Uh, in the course of my career, I have come across diversity in its many dimensions. And the one that I want to emphasize on today is the geographical dimension. I just happened to visit Professor Banerjee's LinkedIn page, and the book about the Made in India manager. And there is a question that seems partly rhetorical: are you a global one? Now, my thought on this is something like this: business schools have to be designed to receive diversity. And what do I mean by that? If we change the admission criteria a bit, as some of my alma mater used to do sometimes, that you want a little bit of students from arts, some from humanities, change the admission criteria a little bit so that it's not dominated by engineers, the classroom. That's not exactly the diversity experience. The curriculum has to support diversity. The faculty have to support diversity. And so, if all of these other elements, the administration, the curriculum, the faculty, all of these do not support diversity, but on the other hand, we want a diverse bunch of students in the classroom, that doesn't make for a wholesome experience. So as a part of the faculty in AIT, routinely we receive students from about 25 to 30 countries from the region and from around the world. And for me, the teaching experience changes dramatically. A student from Afghanistan stands up in the class and says, we don't need stock exchanges. And why are you talking about stock exchanges in this classroom? And that for me is something to reflect. That changes the way I think about finance, that changes the way I approach the subject, because now I'm mindful that I have in my class, students from very small countries like Bhutan, where there are 700,000 people and market research is not a big deal, or from Afghanistan, or many countries, more than half the countries in the world do not have stock exchanges. And so when we say geographical diversity and we say, yes, we want to receive students from around the world, we want to give the students an international experience. And my question is our curriculum, are our faculty, are our administrative processes, are our infrastructure built for this? And this applies to diversity of any kind. When we aim for diversity among the students in the classroom, we have to be prepared with diversity, with the curriculum, with the faculty, and with the administration. Interestingly, a few years back, a 150-year-old Japanese university called Tsukuba, which is home to several Nobel Prize winners, invited me, of all people, to come and give a talk about what makes for diversity, what makes a school international? What can a Japanese university do in order to make its program international? Right? So they were looking for diversity in the sense of going beyond Japan, embracing students from around the world, so that not only their Japanese students, but also students from elsewhere have a truly international experience studying in one of the iconic universities in Japan. And there were about 4 or 5 of us coming from institutions like AIT, which were designed to serve diverse groups of students. And at the end, the chancellor of Tsukuba told us that we haven't taken even the first steps towards being a diverse institution, because for 150 years, we have done well doing what we are doing. And that's a trap that many of us can easily fall into, right? So while diversity is desirable, it has to be by design. And universities are like Tsukuba are testimony to the fact that you can have excellence. You can have a Nobel Prize winning scientist on your campus, but still not be diverse, and it does you no harm. And therefore, the question at the end is to ask ourselves, what purpose does diversity serve? And here I go back to a program that I was fortunate to run in the company of Professor Henry Mintzberg from McGill. And following on that program, he wrote a very famous book. The title of the book is Managers, Not MBAs. And his basic point was to say that what a business schools should aim to produce is managers, not people with degrees like MBAs. And in that, he goes on to explain the design of the program in which we actively sought diversity, diversity in terms of functions, diversity in terms of industries, diversity in terms of nationality. And all of this we managed to do with just 40 participants in the classroom, which created an experience that many of the managers still, after nearly 20, 25 years, still find valuable. So creating a manager of today is a responsibility of business schools that requires us to serve the diversity cause on its many dimensions, geographical being one of them. But just getting a sprinkling of students from different backgrounds into the classroom is not going to achieve that. And so my humble point here is that we have to go back to the drawing board, look at the curriculum, look at the way our faculty are trained, look at what we say in the classroom, and ask ourselves, are we here ready to serve a diverse audience? So thank you very much, Professor Banerjee and the rest of the panel. It's been a pleasure talking to Matt during the time we were waiting, and hope to have some interactions going forward.